Hello. Send a message to Claire, so I'm taking it that we can... Enough time has passed at this point. There's two separate Delamines. What's up with that? I have discovered the meaning of life. Cool, I don't give a fuck. The world is a great iron prison. Okay. Good for you. I just feel like that's how it react. How many Delamines are there? They need numbers or different names? Figaro or Masinko? Your mom. I know what those things are. I don't care. Do they hide below the ice or behind the fire? Who the fuck knows? Whenever I'm not controlling what my character says, he usually says stuff like this. This is probably the correct response. I found their leader. Should I burn or drown them? Let them live? The fuck are you talking about? In the end, we are victorious. We will vanquish them one by one. Cool. Okay. This is such a busy menu. Who was I going to talk to? Claire. Practice makes perfect. Hey, Evie. Not like I'd be afraid of riding shotgun with you or anything, but put some practice in before the next race, okay? What? I didn't crash a single time. I might have crashed once, but I had a comfortable lead, and we were fine the entire time. Yeah, the champion has spoken. How's your aim? Let's turn my controller on for this race. Don't turn this around on me. Come on, it's just how I drive. It's part of my style. Is the implication that I was doing a bad job? That's why I love you, V. But seriously, practice XD. Tongue face. Is this flirting? Are we flirting? Is that what's happening now? Is that where we're at with this? Wait, now it says wait a day for Claire to contact you. I had a quest objective? Good. Are you okay this direction? Holy fuck. That was so loud, that first crash. Then I guess there's a bunch of gunshots happening. Who's having a war up here? Hey, buddy. Alright. Ta-da! I fixed it. How you guys doing? Counterfeit documents. Picking up some guns. At this point, I'm kind of wishing that there was like a... Oh, there's one. Hey, buddy. Stand still for a second. There you go. Cold blood, because I'm cold-blooded, yo. Did explode their head off. I guess it's pretty cold-blooded. Hey, the police didn't attack me this time. So you guys like me when I help you shoot people. But when I stand vaguely near you, that's the death penalty. That's the morality scale we're with at this point. I'm gonna steal a random bike, because I can. Whee! This one has a weird, tall backrest. And looks different. Boof. Okay, so I guess we're not doing this mission. Unless I want to wait for a day. I could just wait for a day. Yeah, I mean, the last race was, like, not super recently. So I guess I could just wait for a bunch of time to pass. Is there a time limit built in this game? Because I do have 24 hours to live. So, I mean, sorry, I have not 24 hours. I have 1 month to live, don't I? Does skipping ahead, is that bad, actually? That'd actually be kind of interesting if the game had a constantly ticking clock. Like, you are going to die eventually. But they have a ticking clock in the narrative crossed with the fact that the game has, you know, it's an open world where they want you to fuck off and wander around for hundreds of hours. Badlands race. Hey, next race is in the Badlands. The Nomads don't fuck around when it comes to burning rubber on their home turf, so I'm gonna need you to in top form, like for reals. It'll be fine, Claire. Meet at the end of the Brooklyn Street on next dam. Call like last time. Same as before. Don't mention it. What does same as before, don't mention it mean, actually? What did I just say? Whoops. No, I was just dragging. So if you drag and you go a little too high and let go here, it clicks there, which is kind of fucking annoying. I'm doing a dragging motion. I don't want to click at the end of it. Not what that's for, so I guess that's as close as we're gonna get. Here we go. Beep. Oh, frame dropping. Ah. It's the second reason to not go that fast. I'm admittedly being a little lazy about it, but I keep wanting to look into whether or not there is like a respec, like mod in this game that somebody's made yet that lets you just kind of remake your character. Because my character is just a fucking mess. Like, it's just the most bizarrely spread points here and there, and it's like some of it's because I spread myself too thin in certain ways between things I wanted to do, but some of it's just like because I just put points into stuff that I like actually don't really like it, and I'm like, oh, I like hypothetically thought I'd like this stuff because, you know, that's how you build a character for a game you've never played before. It's kind of the issue. You're like, I don't know how this game's made.
Hey, Jude, what's up?
You know, same old. You?
Actually, thought I'd never hear from you again after the Myco sitch.
Rewatched the scroll from that day. You had no choice. But I ain't calling to rehash old wounds. Got a favor to ask.
It's very weird how much she's smiling. Also, where the fuck is the car I asked for? There it is.
Ask away. It's never boring with you.
Interesting people aren't easily bored.
No chance in your company. But now that we've blown each other, what's up?
You're on a need-to-know basis. So, this particular mission don't require you to have no gun. Just a wetsuit.
Gotta say, I am intrigued. Why the wetsuit?
Can't back out now. Just gonna have to use your imagination.
You really know how to reel me in, don't you?
Ain't seen nothing yet.
How do you like me now?
All right then, count me in. But I gotta warn you, I look great in a wetsuit.
Damn out past Rancho Coronado. Know it?
Sure, what about it?
Little, abandoned bungalow lakeside. Meet me there. At sundown.
Okay. Is this a date?
You're not my type, Holmes. Just show up. I'll see you there.
Here we go. Oh, I'm not used to the controls for for controller mode outside of just driving. That was some tonal whiplash for her character. She seems so serious and dramatic. Oh, here's a fast travel spot to unlock it now. It's like, I can see that if you have a long history with someone, I can see it being a really big issue with like trying to interact with somebody after that's happened, after they killed somebody that you knew for that long and stuff like that. But like literally the next time she talks to me, she's smiling, and it's just dismissed as like, saw the tape, you didn't have a choice anyway. Now I'm literally smiling and being playful this whole conversation. It's like, I don't, like intellectually, like forgiving somebody and just like knowing they had no choice and so on isn't the same thing as recovering emotionally from the death of somebody that you knew and cared about for a long time. It's like if she had that reaction in the first place, then her pivoting, her just being over it in a day is really jarring. And like they didn't have to do it that way. They just whatever, like just go on to next stages and stuff like that with her. Whatever quests are coming up next, unless it is a date, then it might be really jarring. But if it's a job or something, then like just go on to that stuff. But like she's like a little prickly with you, or there's just some friction there and so on. I wouldn't be surprised though if most of the conversation is just the same tone and dialogue that would be happening if you hadn't killed her though. So like they need to quickly close that branch. They don't have to record a bunch of different versions of the dialogue, perhaps. Alright, I have to call her, not text her. There we go.
Hey, Claire. Next race. You ready?
It'll be a tough one. Off-road, lots of lead flying. We'll take
Will it, though?
Beast. I want to try her out in the field.
Nova. FYI, I'm already here.
Perfect. Join you in a sec.
Sounds good. See ya.
Once again, not how shit works. It's a race that has a set start time. Why are... What the fuck? I'm here if you want to meet up. It's not... We're not going to get lunch. We're going to a race that 50 other people are at.
Oh, you mean him? Honestly, I don't know. Must have got solo. I don't... Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Try.
Hey.
You stole my hair. He's gonna have to die.
Hey, V. Good to see you again.
Got another race to run, huh?
Second of 4, I hope. Ready to go off-road?
Looks like Al Caldo's fronted a solid team.
This is their race, or so they think.
Are they wrong?
Nomad team usually wins this one, so no. Guess not. Okay, I'm just gonna melt under that sun, so gonna wait in the car.
Sure.
Every now and then dialogue just skips itself.
Remember, maximum madness.
If you're ever unsure about whether I'm accidentally skipping dialogue versus whether the game skips dialogue itself, it's really easy to tell actually, because this game has that giant full screen effect where it tries to, that it does whenever you skip dialogue, where it's like a video distortion. So whenever nothing happens on the screen and the dialogue just cuts itself off, that's just the game fucking up.
I really thought you'd stand me up again. I thought Bully would have to ride shotgun. Ladies and gentlemen,
Bully is a fantastic
get your pants
shot.
on right, strap in.
All right, let's ride the beast.
But he's talking always. 30 seconds and counting. His mouth never stops to run. Hey, you!
Ignore him. Luigi tries to get in people's heads.
So next time I actually don't make it, there's duct tape in the trunk. Just saying.
There's so much dialogue playing that I can't tell what the fuck's happening.
Yeah? What's up?
Just wanted to wish you luck.
Thanks!
That means he sabotaged the car, right?
3, 2, 1.
It sounded like there was like, he was trying to talk to me, but also 2 entire other conversations were playing at the same time from the same people. So I really couldn't tell what anyone was trying to say.
Never surrender.
So, oh god, which way? Okay, this way. The other one's just the line in the middle of the street.
Hold tight, Claire.
Does them shooting matter? Does this car ever take damage? Or is it just me? I guess they can hit me sometimes. I feel like I'm pretty covered in here though. Normally I'm the one. Okay, looks like you can't flip a vehicle in this game. Normally I'm the one in the passenger seat shooting, and then you very visibly are like, oh, I have a health bar and I'm exposed and they're hitting me. So you know what the stakes are. If there's racing AI of any kind, why don't the cops drive cars? I'm so confused. This thing keeps fucking jumping in the air. It's like in the air for half this race.
Ours to lose now, V. Stay focused.
I'm fine. It's chill. I just need to break ahead of once and then I'm pretty much win. As long as I don't horribly crash. Which admittedly I kind of did earlier. This is a jump? No. I thought that's not what the up arrow means. That's just a checkpoint. Okay. That's a forward arrow, not an up arrow. Which is, due to the limits of dimensions, a little hard to parse separately. Seriously, what is happening with the map? I do really wonder, like, how bad are they glitching out really bad behind me? We're out of bounds now. This is weird. The part you're not allowed to be in. Ah, fuck. 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 That stopped me dead. I do wonder if they're freaking out behind me where I can't see them and teleporting around, because video games constantly teleport characters around when you're not looking at them, especially your allies. It's a really common feature. I became incredibly aware of it during BioShock Infinite, but it's used constantly in a lot of other games. You just have to really pay close attention to where your allies are and you realize that they don't actually traverse distances in many cases. They just kind of cheat at it. Like the fact that they're freaking out behind me on the map makes me wonder if they're just teleporting behind me constantly. But I don't think there's a rear view mirror button, or I don't know what it is. It's not on the screen. And I'm not gonna fucking spin the camera around behind me and then crash as I'm waiting for it to recover. But the main question is, are they teleporting around like crazy, or is it actually just that the mini-map's buggy? I'm inclined to think that they're teleporting behind me. You can see them drift, you can see them lag behind further and further until they fall off the mini-map. Like they crash into things and stop. You can definitely see them like lose behind me, and then they'll teleport directly behind me. Just over and over again. It's like rubber banding, but I'll never see them if until I fuck up. Like this. But it also does frustratingly mean that all of this good driving I'm doing doesn't fucking matter because I'm not gaining a lead on them. They'll just magically always be the same distance behind me. So if I race the entire time perfectly but crash the last second, I won't have gained any time that I can then use as like a buffer for my mistakes, even though they get to make infinite mistakes. Oh, there's me losing the race probably. Watch it happen. Or I can do that. Because they're always exactly that distance behind me. It's kind of really funny that the minimap so overtly exposes the systems happening right now. I kind of wanted to see them teleport behind me. Can I catch them teleporting? Maybe that's the strategy. If I point my camera backwards, if I could tell which way I was going, which I can't because the directions aren't on the map. Whoa. That was a weird. Was there a finishing line?
Drive up to the finish line.
It'd be really funny if just turning your camera behind you would do that. What if turning your camera around actually did make it so that they, let's turn my controller off. There we go. What if it didn't make them stop respawning? That's usually what determines where people can spawn and can't spawn in games like this, is just based on whether you're looking at them. So if I stared back at them, it'd be really funny if I then won the race way harder, because none of them could keep moving.
How am I doing?
You're too wide around corners and slow down the last straightaway, but I'm nitpicking.
So, no
What?
regrets putting me behind the wheel?
Not yet.
Wide on corners would be one thing, but slow on the last straightaway, I was just throttling it. That's all. There's no more mechanics. You just hold down the gas and drive straight.
Your last driver is better than I am?
He was a good husband, an amazing wheelman.
So I assume he won literally every race he's ever done, because apparently I'm going to. So he must have been like the super racer. Like everyone's happy he's gone basically,
Hey,
because
eyes on me.
if he was still around, then there'd be nothing to fucking watch, because these are non-competitions, which makes them boring for the audience.
So you're racing for him.
He adored this shit. Had a keen mind for machines, unmatched. He could talk to him. When he got behind the wheel, it was like he fused with it. But just him. No implants.
What do you say we win this for him?
I'm counting on you. You want a lift to my garage?
No, but I know it doesn't do anything now.
Find my own way there. Thanks.
All right, see ya.
Find my own way there. We have to wait 24 hours between each quest. Why is my dialogue not like, nah, I'm gonna go? Why is it, I'll find my own way to your garage? Why am I going to her garage? There's nothing, we don't talk. She literally drops me off at the side of the road and drives away. Like, why is this bike is driving away from me instead of toward me? It's so fucking weird. So fucking weird. I feel like this quest will get an update at some point. I mean, a lot of the game kind of needs updates, but I feel like this one in particular is going to get some kind of update just because it doesn't make sense. Alright. New main quest. Main side quest, if you know what I mean. So let's prioritize that. Do I have a nearby one? I mean, there's always one that's closer than this. Back on my super bike. Let's do some sort of nonsense anti-grav super jump. Come on. Give me a rock to launch off of on the way here. I'm just gonna hold W. Woo! Yeah, that was oh. You undisappointed me at the last second. That was eventful. I didn't see that coming at all. Obviously, some part of the audience will be turned off by the reality of what this game turned out to be, and then not really be interested in watching it because of their disappointment. And other members of the audience will be disappointed, will not want to watch it because of my opinions of the game. So there's a specific vibe of like, there's kind of a specific vibe of like people, like being aware the game's not like all that great, but kind of just being along for the ride of just seeing what the fuck happens along the way. Oh, which is basically where I am too. But then within that exact group, I still wonder like, how much of the side content should I be doing? I usually do like all of it. Like even games like Technomancer that were trash, I just did all of it, every quest I could. But then I'm like, maybe I shouldn't give a fuck about, maybe I shouldn't worry at all about this repetition thing, because I just finished an almost 100 episode Zelda playthrough, and my Patreon supporters nominated 4 more Zelda games, and don't throttle my speed this hard, I'm so far away still. That's unnecessary. Why are you like this game? This is a road for driving on. There's a car over there. Guess what? They drove it over there. Really? I'm not allowed to fucking whatever. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Jackie's. That was mean. It's fine. It's indestructible. But so I'm like, maybe people don't give a fuck about repetition. Maybe I am more vulnerable to repetition than most of my own audience. Oh god, it's on fire. Let's get away before it explodes or something. It'll have to respawn. Cause yeah, like the moment I finish a Yakuza game, I start getting messages daily about like, when are you gonna play the next one? When are you gonna play the next one? And I'll just get those for weeks and months and so on. And then, with Zelda and stuff, like people immediately nominated 4 more Zelda games. And some of those Zelda games were nominated by multiple people, so more than those 4 people nominated Zelda games all in one go. I'm like, we just finished one Zelda game that took like 95 episodes to finish, and you want to immediately follow it with another Zelda game? It's like, I guess that explains a lot of AAA gaming, I guess. Like, why open world stuff is so popular and so on. It's like, maybe the repetition, like, maybe open world repetition and grinding and JRPGs and so on, like, that's just, people just don't numb to it, doing the same things a lot, or not having that much variety, or having really long playthroughs. Maybe I'm the weird one. Doesn't really affect anything. It's not like me thinking that I'm the weird one will make me suddenly, like, reconsider my views. It's literally what I think is fun or not, so it's kind of inherent. You don't, like, choose that. And that'll be the opinions I voice regardless. Whoop. But it was surreal being like, after one of the longest Zelda games I've ever played, and the longest Zelda Patreon series ever, it's immediately 4 more Zelda nominations, and the poll is currently in progress. It'll be, well, I think it'll be done, and the next game will have premiered by now. But they're also like, at least one of them is threatening to win, and I'm like, wow, guys, what is? All right, I don't understand you.
Hey, V.
After all that went down, I thought you and I'd be ancient history.
Don't be a gonk.
Any news from the Moxes? Events, ideas?
No. Don't see all that much of them.
How come?
You know how they are. Piss me off sometimes is all.
So what's the latest from Clouds? Know anything?
Nothing of any interest. Got a new situation, and everybody's trying to adapt. Me too.
Doesn't sound like it's all okay.
Doesn't mean it isn't.
That was a weird thing to say. Nothing of any interest. What? We just did like a little revolution. What the fuck? What's the fallout? How's it going?
What are you doing
Yeah,
there?
you know, it's whatever. I'm like, what? No, I just murdered a bunch of people to do this. Like, being weirdly dismissive of the results of it is strange.
Something got you down all of a sudden?
No.
Judy.
Can we please not talk about Clouds, the Mox, or Arasaka and Militech and how the world's going to shit? Just rather not think about any of that today. Anything dark.
So, ready to tell me what we're doing here?
Well, been tinkering with virtues a lot lately and figured out a way to scroll 2 actors' experiences at the same time. Thought we could try it out. If you're down, of course.
How does one marry 2 separate neural tracks?
Well, at first I tried to create a single profile out of 2 data streams. Didn't turn out so great.
Must have gotten tangled up. Interference, white noise.
Yeah, effect was kind of like a bad art house. Couple tries in, though, I managed to isolate specific sensations.
So you load them onto separate neural tracks. No emo bogies. Not bad. What do I gotta do?
You, my friend, are just gonna scroll me a virtue.
That's it?
Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This could be my greatest work ever.
Sounds like we could do this anywhere. Why do we come all the way out here? What is this place?
Cottage belonged to someone I knew. It sits empty now. I take the liberty to use it from time to time.
And that's where we're gonna scroll?
No, we're gonna scroll underwater.
Nope, no way. Bad idea. Tell her to find some other yes man.
What do you say? You in?
Hell yeah, I'm in.
Awesome. So, let's go. Got the hardware here.
Is this new character development? Does Johnny have thalassophobia? This might seem like a sudden out of nowhere thing to do in the middle of a Cyberpunk game, but if you think that, I recommend watching Ghost in the Shell, because that's definitely what they're going for here. There's a scuba diving scene in that movie, followed by an extended monologue that's kind of like one of the core discussions of the entire movie, essentially. That's kind of a big deal for Cyberpunk, I think. It's Ghost in the Shell. Especially the one where we're like downloading stuff into our brains and we're partly and
Not gonna pike
fake
out
and all
on me,
that.
are ya?
Look pretty damn fine in that wetsuit.
Don't go there, dude.
I mean, all the options are iffy. It's like complain about the water, go after her for not asking if I know how to swim. Apparently,
Haven't even asked me if I know how to swim. Not worried I'll just sink to the bottom like a bag of rocks?
50-50 chance, I guess. Willing to risk it for the footage.
they assume I'm standing here instead of over here. Every interaction makes it feel more unnecessary that I don't just have like a BioWare style I'm standing over here conversation with each person, because they keep wanting to animate and stuff, but they can't point at me correctly.
Water's toxic. That not a problem?
Whole reason we're suiting up.
So at first I thought I had to exhaust the dialogue, but actually I have to stand here. Standing over here, you don't get a gold option. Standing over here, you get a gold option. Why?
All right, let's do this. Freezing ass water, here I come.
Okay, we're all set. You go first.
Am I putting flippers on with the mask? I'm just gonna jump in. Okay. Oh, I suddenly have flippers on. Without access to air, you begin to suffocate and receive damage.
Exactly.
About halfway to the deepest point. It'll be pitch black, but the currents are gentle. Ought to be safe. Want the precise coordinates?
Nah, why bother? I'll just stick close to you.
Okie dokes.
I immediately regret this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. I just realized that. Oh, right. I have to watch the movie. I don't want to.
Virtues are more to you than just a way to churn out eddies, huh?
Well, duh. Think paintings, songs. They're meant to produce emotion responses.
Generally how any kind of creativity works, sure.
Right, so art's a casing, trigger for emotion. Well, BDs are emotion in near pure form.
If I'm being honest, this kind of just isn't necessarily a valid, successful enough simulation of the ocean. Or what, or being underwater. It's really janky looking and blurry and weird.
Look over here and look straight at me, will you?
It's actually not, I'm not really getting like a fear response right now.
Clear. Just need your help with a few basic checks. Need to calibrate our gear. First up, motion sensors and scrolling. Circle around me, swim. Great, motion calibrated. Back my way now, V. Next up, sound check. I'm gonna hum a song, you give me the title. Read me?
No idea what the song is, but I heard it. Goes something like...
All right, we're all tuned and synced. All right, that ought to do it.
What now?
Prepare to have your mind blown. Wait for it.
It's Cthulhu, here to kill you. Swallowed whole, but first your mind.
Now grab this and hold on tight.
Are those supposed to be glowing down there? They just disappeared.
Down we go.
This is surreal. It's so weird looking. The horizon came down with us, so we don't feel any deeper.
Had no idea. If you said we'd see a sunken town.
Like it?
Dunno. Sure as hell never seen anything like it, can tell you that.
Used to be called Laguna Bend. Just 15 years ago, people still lived here.
Yeah, I remember. NC Dam Limited made plans to build a dam. People protested, and the rest is history. Houses, playgrounds, all flooded. Got some connection to this place, right?
You got it. Grew up here. Haven't been back since Laguna Bend was wiped off the map.
Why are you showing me this?
Want to get the right emotional reactions. Got a feeling this will be perfect for my experiment.
Why's this stand to be perfect?
Hoping you'll be able to pick up all the unfiltered mess of emotions this place brings out in me. Like it or not, you'll react to those feelings. That's what I want to capture.
Sounds Nova. Let's do this.
So that's why she didn't want to corrupt her feelings. What
coming back so many
just
times
happened?
in my head. Taken me years. Working up the nerve for this.
Why didn't you come earlier?
Good question. Easy answer would be that I didn't have time. Gear, stars weren't ever aligned. Truth is, the very idea just felt weird.
Try and listen to the background track because I think it might be what she was humming, but maybe not. It added like no light to the surrounding
Flo's
area.
Diner, best eatery in town. Only one at that too. Burgers weren't amazing, too greasy, big. Of course I say that now. Back then they were the best thing I'd ever chewed and swallowed. And next door, that's where we lived. Me and my grandparents. Just let me know when you want to forge ahead.
I guess the middle of my vision is my flashlight, so I actually can't tell how bright or dark anything is because I can't look away from my flashlight. But it kind of looks, if you look at the left side of my screen, it looks really dark around there, like the light didn't light anything. I guess there's a little red. But if the flare was meant to light up the diner, that wasn't the... It's probably, maybe it's a breadcrumb trail? Maybe that's the goal?
Got something here. Looks like an old photo cam.
DPI 350. Practically an antique.
You like it?
You kidding? It's awesome.
Those unfiltered emotions are now picking up, like, children sounds.
That's a weird place for a framed picture.
Water probably carried it out of someone's house. Anything to make out?
Nah, not much.
Not anything at all, huh? If we stay low, we'll find a few more things. Ah!
Looks like this fell off your one and only eatery.
Now let's see. Childhood for you tasted like toasted marshmallows. They always caught fire, burned, but that never bothered you.
That's Nomad life for you. Can't be a fussy eater, you'll get no food at all. Anyway, all kinds of food tastes better with just a little burn.
Just a little burn. It's really the carbonized aspect, that crunch, really adds to the experience. Hey, it's floating.
Hockey stick? Is there a skating rink here?
I wish. Played street hockey on rollerblades.
Quit schmoozing, Alfred. We're losing because of you. Coming! Dead meat anyway. Will you go out with me? Sorry, you gotta go. They're calling.
So we're not just simultaneously recording a scroll that can be played back later from both perspectives together, like a co-op game, basically. I'm somehow getting her live experiences while it's happening. Like, we're not even when we reviewed the scroll later, but now, with no editing. The fuck?
Here, take this camera. Better off in your hands than sitting here collecting algae.
Gosh, thanks.
Why am I doing this? I keep going up and down.
What about your parents?
Dad was never in the picture. Mom died when I was tiny. Can barely remember her. Still have her picture, but, you know, I see a stranger there.
Judy, watch out for her cooties. She can't even afford to have parents.
What was that? Those voices.
Voices? Didn't hear anything but you just now.
Oh, this isn't supposed to be happening.
What was it like, living with your grandparents? How were they?
Granddad had a real knack for things technical. Taught me everything I know. And the stories he told, never got bored listening to them. And Grandma was temperamental. Hot 1 second, cool as steel the next.
I feel like we need to go a lot harder at telling her about what's happening right now, because if she doesn't know, this could be bad. If the fact that I'm picking up on her memories isn't supposed to be happening, then like there could be something seriously wrong that could like kill both of us or something if we keep going. We should definitely be reporting her that something is not going as planned right now, and it might be like dying right now.
Where'd your grandparents go? Night City?
Yeah, for a couple years. Rented the unit that's mine now. But they hated the city. Moved up to Oregon. And still go and visit them sometimes.
They were right.
Let's keep going, Judy.
Aye, aye, Captain. Follow me.
You just left it. She just fucking left the camera.
Anything in particular here?
Nah. Can't hurt to look around, though. Picking up very chill vibes.
Better off in your hands.
Feels like we're outside of time. Like in a snow globe. After that, we can see what lies up ahead.
Hard to imagine anything that could be more out of place in an underwater world.
Bottled water?
Touche, Judy. Touche.
Crafting experience. Hey, what's up with the floating? There is like a water pressure limit where something would eventually stop sinking, but I don't think it's here necessarily. This is like a haunting and like cool idea for a mission, especially if you dig deep into like what actually happened to these people. Like, did the corporations abuse them and remove them from their homes? They flood the area while people were still here. I feel like I might have read something about this at some point. I feel like I might have read a document about this, but like I feel like she should be going into this somewhat. Instead, she's just being like vaguely nostalgic. Maybe that's the feeling she's going for the recording. But I do find myself kind of continually frustrated that this game just isn't saying all that much about like the cyberpunk setting and the obvious themes that it's built around a lot of the time. Instead, it's just a bunch of go on a fun mission. Here's the particular thing of this mission, but like no wider stuff about the society and its problems in a lot of cases.
Gotta say, I don't really get why they left their wheels behind when they had to evacuate.
hunks of metal have got half a century on them. When I was about yay high, they were already here. And not in much better shape. It's good cover for playing max tack and psychos, though.
In a weird way, that it almost feels like they externalize those emotions to Johnny, and then kind of played him off as this like irritating voice on your shoulder that you don't necessarily give a shit about, but you're kind of stuck with him, and he's the one that's going to nag you about the themes of the cyberpunk universes while you half pay attention and get in conflicts with him and so on. And it's like, shouldn't our character care a lot more too? For us, it's mostly just we were just doing a job because it was a way to make money, and then it was a job that we were taking to make money, and then it just went badly, and so our friend died, and we have a time limit on our remaining survival, but like not like a larger, like we don't have a larger incentive to care about the systems here. There's almost, I guess in a way, there's almost a commentary. I was gonna say it's a commentary on the changing scope of cyberpunk, because originally it was a wildly political genre that was built entirely around these kinds of specific elements of like activism and like anarchy versus corporations and so on and so forth, and like these really specific dynamics. But in newer generations, we have a more and more shallow read of it, where it's just people with cool cyber arms and the ability to see through walls that do gigs for profit in a kind of lawless cowboy way a bit, and with the backdrop of cyberpunk is there, but it's mostly an aesthetic read. And so in a way, Johnny represents the older generation of basically, you know, the point of cyberpunk as a setting, and our protagonist kind of represents the modern version of it, where we're just kind of like perpetually replaying the aesthetic of a Ridley Scott movie that came out 40 years ago and mining that for nostalgia, because it itself became a nostalgic aesthetic that you just used for cosmetic purposes, more or less, but don't necessarily delve any deeper on. And so far the game kind of feels like that's our two characters. There's the real cyberpunk person, which is Johnny, and then there's this character, and he definitely gets a lot of screen time, Johnny, but at the same time he's kind of framed as this irritation and this obstacle, and his inclusion, obviously Keanu Reeves' inclusion is not begrudging, but I mean, like, Johnny coming along always feels like a begrudging thing that we're just kind of tolerating him, in part because we have no other choice, but not because we actually engage with his ideas. It's like, I feel like you're accidentally saying something about your own game and how you're dealing with those themes a little bit. Because like there's definitely like they definitely use the cyberpunk stuff to do like, here's a little bit of grim darkness and so on, but it's definitely not being nearly as philosophical about the wider ideas as much as something like Blade Runner or Ghost in the Shell might be.
What, this isn't yours?
Poor thing. Been here all alone for 20 years.
So it is yours?
No. It was Jenny Chapman's.
You took her doll.
As if. Hid it. I was a monster.
You hid it? Why?
Because I thought only losers played with dolls. What I really wanted was for her to notice me. Ah, the days when dolls were just kids' toys and nothing else.
Is this how fast I go up now? Whoa.
Want to see what's further on?
Come on then. Want to show you something. Got no idea how weird it feels swimming through here.
Where you used to run as a kid? Where daily life grinded along? Can imagine it a bit.
Yeah, just imagine your childhood, but now it's underwater and forgotten and inaccessible most of the time.
Church hasn't aged at all. Always looked old and like it had landed here from outer space. Bells were cracked too. Gave off this eerie, atonal clang. Weird, I had no memory of that seconds ago. Now I can almost hear them.
I don't know how it's possible, but I think I hear those bells too.
Seriously? You can hear my memories? It must be a side effect. Ah, closed. Shame.
Could look for another way inside.
Be my guest.
Did you like going to this church?
Never actually went to church. Never even really paid attention to it. It was just there, you know? Once we knew Laguna Bend was to be flooded, people gathered here to plan a protest.
Did it achieve anything?
Look around.
They did protest it, so we're delving into that a bit now. Yeah, I was trying to think about like the cyberpunk setting and how it's being treated in this game. And what comes to mind is that like they'll introduce a crazy tech concept or corporation concept and something gross, but then they'll kind of just wear it, like aesthetically, but then tell a story that's pretty much something that could just be happening now without any of the cyberpunk stuff at all, and pretty much just stick to that. Like I think about the series of like we have two separate essential they're prostitute homes essentially, or workplaces, brothels. There we go. There's a word. And they introduced the idea of like, oh, they're dolls and they replay programs and it's all anonymous because their minds are wiped and something and something and something and like all this other distressing stuff. And I'm like, okay, are they gonna introduce like this horrifying like? Are they gonna really delve into like how fucked up it can be, like what might be happening, and then you just wipe the memory afterwards, or like how that can manifest and so on? And it's like, mainly the story is gonna be about just taking the place from its current organization, essentially. There was the first time we went through, it was about how she was murdered via being hacked. But that's essentially like she could have just been poisoned, functionally. But even then, her being hacked wasn't what was set up over the course of that story. Because what was set up is that there's that intimate interaction with a doll that was going really feely, and it was a pretty good scene of like really going into V's fears and concerns and so on, and how he's processing his death. And like that was interesting. But then the ultimate outcome of that area was just, oh, she got hacked and killed. I'm like, oh, okay. Like she was poisoned, essentially. Like it wasn't tied to this whole thing where you lose your memory. There was no like plot line built around that storyline. And there might be like a side quest later, or maybe it comes up in some other context, but I'm just noticing how that particular storyline didn't really build from that concept and use it. It was kind of just a scene with a throwaway character that I think we'll never meet again, unless it was was the same guy that we did the takeover with? I can't remember. I didn't really know who those two side characters were when they showed up. So if I met them before, I probably didn't know that I was supposed to like keep track of them in particular, like they were gonna come up again versus the hundreds of faces that just vanish immediately. But yeah, like you get introduced to that crazy sci-fi concept, but then it's just kind of left afloat there, and maybe they'll use it at some point. I think that might have been a mandatory quest at least, so at least it might come up in some other context. But it wasn't building up the main story of what was happening there, because it was just a side thing. And yeah, ultimately it was just like, hey, there are brothels that are controlled by. There's one brothel that's controlled entirely by its own employees in a very cool like seize the means of production sort of situation, where like they own their own facility and their own business, and they aren't being alienated from their own labor. And then there's another one that's being controlled entirely by this third party, which is a crime syndicate. and so you liberate them and help them be a commune too. It's like, that's cool. That's an interesting story. Well, I'm not sure what it had to do with them being, like, they introduced all this crazy stuff about dolls, and I'm not sure how that story had much of anything to do with how dolls work. At most, there was a couple plot points involving, I know, Kung Fu, which is a very Keanu Reeves thing to throw in your game, but still wasn't actually important to the story, necessarily. The fact that they could suddenly take on their Kung Fu powers wasn't especially necessary. If anything, I guess I suppose it empowered the prostitutes to take over their own place, but we still mostly had to do it ourselves without doing any of that stuff. And I don't know. It comes across as a little incoherent thematically for what they're going for. They mostly just tell really familiar stories.
And this, what is it?
Oh, no way. Can't be. You found the heart of Laguna Bend. The most precious gem in all Cali, maybe even the world, could buy all of Arasaka and Militech and then some for it.
She's fucking with me.
For real?
It's gone! Oh, did I pick it up already?
Nah, I got no idea what that is.
But since she couldn't see it from there. It's definitely the way in. Look around for their stuff a bit.
I think we're safe to go through here.
On my way. Hey, found a way in. Through the roof.
But I was going... But I found this way.
Snuck in here once when no one was around. Stood at the altar and tried to imagine what went through the Padre's mind looking at all those people. Back then I wondered how he could read people's thoughts and know everything about them. Then I screamed at the top of my lungs to check the acoustics.
You didn't get chased off?
Ran out myself. Echo I got back scared the living bejesus out of me. Thought it was that crush I had on Jenny Chapman. All that guilt I tried yelling out flew right back in my face.
Ah!
I feel like you're not gonna want to have that in the recording. That's... No one's gonna want to watch this video.
Please.
Or this scroll.
Oh, thank fuck. You're alive.
What happened?
You passed out.
How'd you manage to lift me out?
Dunno, didn't think about it. Just did what I had to do. Hey, careful, easy now.
So, you're saying you saved my life. Thank you.
Told you diving into this toxic waste was gonna end badly. But you just don't fucking listen.
Toxic waste. Is that your construct?
You heard him?
Heard's overstating. It's just surfaced in my head. A thought that wasn't mine or completely yours.
Please just ignore his babbling. It's a complicated relationship. Why do I even bother?
Doubt you should go back to the city just now. I'm pretty beat too. Last thing I want to do is drive. Let's stay the night. What do you think?
Stay where exactly? We gonna camp on the shore?
No, in there. Crash there sometimes after dives. How about it?
Why the hell not?
Whose cottage is that then? You said you knew the owner.
One of our neighbors was hell-bent on staying in Laguna Bend. Padges literally dragged him out of his house before the water came in. So he built himself another house as close as he possibly could, but then he got sick. Water was way more toxic back then.
Just picking up things and destroying them. Mine.
Must be chilled to the bone. I'll brew a pot.
Are we gonna change out of our wetsuits? That would help.
A splash of milk will do.
Same as me.
Why are you... Oh, is that beans? I thought she was grabbing sugar. You forgot to start the generator?
A generator? What's next? Jacuzzi? Finnish sauna?
No, but there is running water.
I'm surprised. At first I was surprised the lights were on if she forgot to start the generator. But I guess there's a battery the generator feeds into, so it works at first. Those are on though. That's weird.
I can turn it on.
You're gonna take it easy.
Promise to take it slow.
What could go wrong? I just die horribly or something. Who knows?
From the town. It's depressing. Most nomads have a story like that, and all of them begin with the same thing: displacement. Power's up. Your little spa is open for business. Judy?
Oh. Why did it sever? Did we get too far apart? Uh-oh.
What was that? Couldn't hear you clearly. Something the matter?
No, nothing.
She's taking her wetsuit off.
Don't bullshit me, Judy. We're still synced, remember?
Clouds has gone to shit. Tiger Claw No Necks took revenge for Hiromi and the rest. There was a firefight. Tom's dead. Roxanne barely got out alive. House is closed until further notice. I'd rather not talk or think about it. Didn't want to tell you. Didn't want you to think I blame you in any way.
Why would you even assume I'd think that?
Dunno, I'm sorry. Let's just kill the subject. I think I'll go lie down. I'm beat.
We're still synced, remember? So she does know, but she was like, huh? What voices? When I talked about hearing voices, so I was questioning it, and she didn't react, like implying that she doesn't know about the voices. But now I'm mentioning the fact that I can hear her voices, even though we never explained that to her. What? Did I miss something? I feel like the thread didn't connect there.
Grr, this chick gets on my nerves. Let's you and me blow. Just don't wake her up.
Judy pisses you off. Why? Because she cares about people? And that reminds you you're a narcissistic asshole?
She's all over the place. Refuses to take the door, jumps out a window, then acts all surprised when she gets hurt.
She reminds you of Alt, doesn't she?
Oh, nobody's even close to Alt and what me and her had. Let's get the fuck away, can we?
You're that easy to read, huh?
You fucking blow if you can. Not about to leave her alone, middle of nowhere.
No, I can't talk to you when you get this sentimental. Waste of words. At least take a nap so we don't have to argue.
There we go. Yeah, I don't know really what brought on the rant today in particular. I guess it's just the aesthetic of the quest and being like, this is interesting, but it's kind of like visually interesting, and I'm kind of thinking about it, and I'm kind of wanting the game to dwell on it more, but instead of dwelling on it more, it's just like someone's nostalgic trip, and then it kind of moves on, and I'm like, huh. And I kind of hit a tipping point of like, I feel like these things should be getting explored more than they are in a more meaningful way for the world itself, as opposed to just the characters reacting to it. You can do it via the characters reacting to it, but like the characters should care about the wider ramifications more and discuss those sorts of things and have objectives tied to those kinds of things instead of just kind of like looking at it. Be like, that's sad. Like the most we get from our character is like, those people, that's depressing. And like he's he's probably done with this concept. We're not dealing with it anymore. I don't know. I remember I did a Patreon Q&A a long time ago about this game, anticipating it, and I was talking about how I was kind of dreading playing Cyberpunk. And it was partly because I'm like, oh god, people don't react well to political stuff, or what they call political stuff, quote unquote, in many cases, because that's often an iffy classification. And so like, oh, they're gonna, like The Witcher, it doesn't come up that much, but Cyberpunk as a setting, there's a lot of challenging concepts to discuss and go into, and so I was excited about those concepts. Well, on one hand, I was kind of worried. I was worried that CD Projekt Red would mishandle it because a number of reasons, really, like ways that they had behaved over the years and things that had kind of come out about the company, and also to some extent the political climate of the country they're from and so on. Like, there's just like a few different things where I'm like, I'm not sure how Cyberpunk's going to go over in this case. Like, they could really mishandle it and not really fully interrogate it the way that it should be. And that might be the case. I can't be sure until I finish the entire game to really be sure whether or not I think they really did it justice or not. Not that I'm a particular expert on Cyberpunk in the first place, but I was also dreading that, like, if challenging discussions do come up, like in Disco Elysium, for example, all those fucking gamers are going to be gamers, and they're just going to be like the most insufferable comment section of people freaking out about the things I was saying and the concepts being brought up and me diving into that stuff, and I was like kind of dreading that and how exhausting that was going to be. But I guess I've been spared that, because while there are quests that have substance to them and like storylines and characters that go places and so on, the actual cyberpunkiness it's pretty understated. It kind of is just the aesthetic of the game, and they use the concepts here and there just kind of for a lark, but not necessarily to really interrogate it in the way that a different developer would have. So we kind of just don't have these topics coming up. Oh well.